Good evening, friends. For the better part of 2 months, our building has been closed, yet our hearts have been open to our community through our online worship service, our daily podcast, and through connections through phone calls and mailings. We have made these difficult changes in part to follow the recommendations and guidelines put forth by the Centers for Disease Control and by the Governor of Indiana. But we've also taken these steps out of an abiding and profound love of those in our faith community. Your health and your safety are always the most important factor in anything that we do at St. Peter's Church. Today, Governor Holcomb has released revised guidelines as part of the state's efforts to reopen some aspects of the economy after a time of shutdown. Some of those revised guidelines loosen restrictions on public gatherings. In particular, you may have heard that starting next week, worship services will be permitted with no limit on attendance. And many of you are likely wondering if today's announcement might mean that there will be in-person worship at St. Peter's again in the next few weeks. Well, unfortunately, the short answer is no. We have no plans to reopen now or in the near future, and certainly not until we are able to assure the health and safety of all of our members and friends. Over the last number of weeks, your church council and I have been meeting on a regular basis to monitor developments and guidance from the federal, state, and local governments, from the United Church of Christ, and from the Indiana-Kentucky Conference. Last week, the council appointed a committee of health professionals from our congregation to advise the council on policies and procedures that will guide our actions once we feel that it's safe to gather in person again. These policies will be based on public health benchmarks, as well as our ability to manage and clean our facility in a safe and responsible way. Once they are approved, these policies will be shared with all of you, so that you can understand the immense amount of work and responsibility that will have to go into any movement towards reopening our building for in-person worship. All of this is to say that we love all of you, and we're not willing to put anyone's health at risk in order to open the church any sooner than it's safe to do so. It's important to remember that in all the teachings of Jesus that are recorded in the Gospels, Jesus never talks about requirements or obligations to gather and worship. In fact, he hardly talks about worship at all. But what he does talk about a lot is our obligation to love our neighbors. By staying home and isolating ourselves, we are doing exactly that, loving our neighbors. The church council and I miss Sunday morning worship as much as you do. And we all long to return to the family atmosphere that's such a hallmark of our congregation. But we want everyone to be safe, to feel safe, and to be able to fully participate in worship. And so we will continue with our online worship offerings for the foreseeable future. If you have any questions about these decisions, feel free to contact me, contact the church office, or contact any of the church council members. We will be happy to share our reasoning and our information with you. In the meantime, be safe, stay at home, and wash your hands. Peace be with you.